Hello, it feels so good, of course, to be here with you on Talks with Tess. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for your past support. And thank you as well for clicking on that link, right? And of course, if it popped up on your timeline, thank you very much for staying with Talks with Tess, right? As always, it is always packed with value. I mean, good value. That's the standard, and we're not doing below that. It has to be good content, good value all the time, right? And of course, this is Talks with Tess, where we discuss the different matters as it concerns, the everyday living, different issues, different scenarios as it concerns the everyday living, right? So today, I'm not the only one going to be doing the talking as like in the past episodes. Of course, I spoke with some of my friends, asking them a particular question. So we're going on to that question, and after the question, I'll be introducing the topic for us, right? So the question is simple. If you were to be a plant, what would you be, right? If you were to be a plant, what would you be? When that question popped up in my mind just before I started talking, in fact, that was a question that brought about this whole discussion we're going to be having today. So before my friends answer, I would let me just give my own little insight, right? Or my answer. If I were to be a plant, what plant would I be? When I thought about that question, some funny answers were coming to my mind. I was thinking, should I be sugarcane so that people will get sugar from me? Or should I be, in fact, there's one leaf that we use. Should I be bitterest leaf? I don't even know the scientific name of that leaf. That leaf is super bitter, but then it works for different body pains. I have it planted in my house. Should I be ginger? Or what should I be, right? So I just thought about it basically, and I knew that if I were to be a plant and I have the opportunity to choose, I would definitely I think I would want to be I would want to be a cocoa plant, so that chocolate can be gotten from me. They can use me to do chocolate flavor, because that's one of my best flavors for anything. They can use me for chocolate flavor. They can use me to take tea, right? Can use me for spread when I want to take bread. You get a lot of money. You know the way it is now. Cocoa farmers are assumed to be rich and all. So I think if I were to be a plant, I'm going to be a cocoa plant. Let's go and listen to what these people had to say. I was just imagining, are you going to be Werekwe devil beans? If you know what that means, let's go ahead, or let's flip to the side of listening to some of my friends talk about what plants they would love to be and why they would want to be that plant. All right,
a plant.
Yes, if you were a plant, what kind of plants would you be and why?
Peach.
Yes. Okay.
Peach.
Why peach? That's unusual. Why peach?
The Koreans, I watched one Korean movie, like the shaman, when she picked peach branch, she called one of the people that used to come and seek for her advice. So she called them and told them that I picked the peach. That means it means birth. That maybe you want to give birth or procreate. So if I am peach, that means I'll give birth to new things like that.
New things like children or what?
No, not just children. Maybe big goals, good things, and fortune.
That was good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if you were to be a plant, what kind of plant would you be?
God forbid. I've not thought of that before. How would I be a plant?
Okay, so if you were to be a plant, what kind of plant would you be and why?
A plant. I think I'd like to be a palm tree, a palm plant, basically. And that's because a palm plant is all round useful. Like every part, there's no waste. Every part is useful. So it means that I'll be a resourceful person. Nothing about me is a waste. Everywhere I find myself, I am very useful. Whoever I am with, I am useful to them, and all of that. So it means that by the time I'm dying totally empty. I've done everything Yeah, a palm.
A palm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If I was to be a plant, the plant I would be is what do they call this stuff? I think it's umbrella tree or something. Sure. There's one tree like that that looks like an umbrella. That's a shape of an umbrella, right? The leaves just spread across left and right, and then that's a perfect shape, right? Okay, so why I want to be that plant is at first doesn't really look like much, right? When you want to plant that particular tree, it's just the stick, it's just the stem that you plant. When people go to buy it, you wonder what can this possibly become, right? It doesn't look like much, it's just a stem. It's just it looks dry, it looks like just a stick, right? Then you plant and then you begin to water, and then it grows, and then it becomes a beautiful tree, it becomes an umbrella tree. And then we know what umbrella does, right? It shields people, right? So for the tree, it's not like it really shields people, but it's a tree that gives hope. From nothing it becomes something, and then it gives hope to people. So you feel like this thing was just a stem that we planted. It was just one dry stick, and then all of a sudden it has become this thing. So you can actually become something. From something that looks hopeless, you become something beautiful, and then you give cover to people, right? And why I want to be that particular plant is because I know I've always wanted to be in the place where I serve as a cover or a shield to people, to just help as little as I can. Just make sure my help counts, no matter how small or how big. I just want to be in the place where I can help people, right? So I think that play is the best description I can use for myself if I want to be a plant. And because it starts from just being a stem, it looks hopeless, but you water, and then you stay patient with it, and then it blossoms and becomes something beautiful, right? Not just even for shielding people or being a cover to people. It is a very fine tree, it becomes very fine, right? So I think I want to be that plant. If I was to be a plant, I would just want to be that. Just start from being a stem, and then becoming something beautiful, and provide shelter or cover for people. At least if rain starts falling and then you run under that tree before, even if after a while, when the rain continues falling, the rain is going to penetrate through the tree, but at least to give you some cover before you can move out or run somewhere or whatever. Do you understand? So in the real sense, in the world, I just want to be someone that provides cover for people. Okay, so I think that's basically all, Sha.
Right? You listened to them already. You listened. So what did you make out of it, or what are you thinking? So I'm also asking you now. If you were to be a plant, I'm very sure that maybe while we're listening to them, the answers was coming to you. If you were to be a plant, what kind of plant would you be and why? Tell us in the comment section, or yes, tell us in the comment section, or find a way to just pass your opinions so we can see it, right? So straight on, if you are wondering why this question first, our topic for today is productivity, and of course, we're talking basically about productivity. And there is something, if you're having a product, it means you have to plant something. And so, that kind of made sense for me to kind of correlate it with a plant's productivity. And not just that, I also came across a particular verse in the Bible that says that humans are like grass that will wither away. So once I saw that verse, I was like, it's true, because I've seen the life cycle of a grass. They wither away, and then there is a time in which they bloom. I'm like, okay, since this is the word of God, if you now read down for that particular verse, I think it is 1 Peter 1, I think verse 24. Yes, 1 Peter 1 verse 24. So if you read further again, you see it. I think there was a day I was just like opening the Bible to read, and I came across that verse. I'm like, this kind of make a whole lot of sense for me, because I just believe that, it is the word of God, and the word of God doesn't go void, right? If you go further down, you are going to see that no part of the word of God is going to go unrealized. So if humans are like plants that will wither away, which is very true. You see someone that has lived, made so many marks, and they still end up dying. It's not as if they live forever. But then what lives on with them, or what lives on rather after them, is maybe the level of productivity they were able to achieve. And so for this reason, I thought about it that if we're going to wither away, it is okay, or I just think it is more sensible actually for us to be very productive of everything that we get to do, or of every day that we find ourselves doing. And when we're talking about productivity, I don't want you to start maybe jumping into conclusion that productivity is just always giving 100% results all the time. You get, because in fact there is even a picture I saw that showing up or like getting things done, sometimes it could be very massive, sometimes it could just be a tiny dot. The whole point is that you are actually doing something. But then the thing is that, do you know that for someone that I don't know if I'm sounding like a lazy person for what I'm about to say, for somebody that maybe that has overworked themselves out also, because I love me my sleep, right? Do you know that sleeping is a form of productivity as well? This is just an aside though. Just hold it in one corner of your hand. Sleeping is a form of productivity. Say for instance, when you sleep and you wake up, you are fully energized for you to be able to function properly as expected. I think it would be nice for us to just maybe give 1 or 2 sentences about what productivity is, right? In my own words, I just feel like productivity is you being very useful. Productivity is you creating something that will be useful to other people. Productivity is basically showing up for the good of yourself and for the good of others, right? Because there is not a plant that lives for itself. For instance, if there is ugu plant, ugu cannot eat itself. It is people that will use ugu. If there is a bitter leaf, it is people that will use bitter leaf. If there is pawpaw, it is people that will use pawpaw. You get. And of course, if there is devil beans, what we call werepe in Yoruba, it usually has that effect of itching, of body itching or scratching on people or on animals. It cannot have that effect on itself. So basically, productivity is you. Let's just say from this night, just say maybe you can say having an effect. Like it could be good. Of course, it has to be good. Good effect on people, right? An addition to what productivity is basically is that, just as it was said in Genesis 1:18, that we should be fruitful and multiply. I'm very sure when you say be fruitful and multiply, many people just, the first thing they think about is children. But then, that's be fruitful and multiply is an instruction for us to go ahead and do all the good things. Just like one of the respondents to my question said, that's not birthing children, but birthing big things. I think I would also buy into that, right? And then if you check again, when I checked online, because I was trying to get a precise definition, I checked online and I saw on betterup.com that productivity is a measure of the efficiency of a person, machine, factory, system, etc. in converting input into useful output. And I just want to focus on the last part. Converting input into useful output. So you see, at the end of the day, we're even saying the same thing, right? Then again, what I just want to reiterate is that productivity is not like a choice. It is not. There is never a void in a person. It's either you are filled with good kind of productivity or you are filled with bad kind of productivity, if you know what I'm saying. There is never a void. It is an instruction for us to be fruitful and multiply. But then sometimes we are caught in that web of not being productive enough as expected, as it should be. Based on me, I like to share based on my own experience, because it is what I know that I will give out. Based on my little experience, there are days actually when I'm not productive, and coupled with other people's experiences, I was able to pick out some of the ways in which you can identify instances or days or times whereby you are not productive, right? And one of them, first off, is when you start to notice you're not as efficient as you ought to be, meaning that you are not giving in your best, or you're not giving in at least up to kind of standard. At that point, you know that okay, you're not being productive enough. And of course, another way in which to know is that when you're not dispensing your duties properly. Say for instance, you're supposed to, that it is your duty maybe to, maybe it is your duty to even set a reminder, or it is your duty to get anything basically done, and you're not doing it well. It means that at that point, you know that, I'm not actually as productive as I ought to be. Those are instances like that. I also sometimes find myself in that same place, and when I get to recover, I try to make means in which to make amends, you get. And I think kinda it has been working. Another way in which to realize that you are not as productive as you ought to is when you start wasting time. Waste time wasting. This one, in fact, I just feel like proper management of time is a skill on its own that has to be learned. This particular one, with this social media thing, like for instance, you can just be on Instagram. In fact, people on TikTok are even trying. I had to delete TikTok from my phone because Jesus, God, my Lord in heaven, it was taking my time. Like I could just be there and I'm carried away. I spent like 1 hour, 2 hours, and I'm already behind schedule of maybe my own plan. So I just feel like at that point in time, I'm not being productive. So that's another way in which you can realize that, oh yeah, I'm not as productive as I ought to be. That is time wastage. Of course, another way in which you realize that you're not as productive as you ought to be is either you're making things worse or you're just nonchalant. That means you are not solution driven, you are not value adding driven. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I mean, if you're in a particular space or if you belong to anywhere, even at home, even as little as organizing everybody to maybe organizing the cooking, even as little as organizing to ensure that things are going on properly, even in the house, it's like a very good skill, you get. Whereby it's either you're just making things worse or you're just leaving things and you're just handing them nonchalantly, like, well, it's not my business, I don't even care, I don't rate these people, I don't care whatever is going on. At that point, you just know that, oh yeah, I just feel like at that point you are not being productive enough. Because if you are in a place and you want to show your productivity, you have to be, you just be conscious of giving solution or just making things better. Or if at all you're not making things better, let them not be worse or let them not become worse because of you than as it were. You get. That's another instance. Another way in which to realize lack of productivity is when you begin to feign busy and do nothing. This particular one, you know that sometimes we catch ourselves in that web of you're doing a lot of things, doing this, doing that, and you're doing this, and at the end of the day, you're actually not achieving something. You're not achieving anything. That means your results are showing poorly. This one, for instance, maybe you have about 5 tasks to get done, and you just feel like, okay, I need to be productive to do all these things today. You beat yourself to it. I'm going to read 10 books in a month. I'm going to do this. And then you start picking up to read 10 books all at once in a month. You know that at that point, you're not being productive with your reading because, I don't know, unless you don't have any other thing to do and you're just reading books alone, that's when you can. But if you have other things you are doing, I don't think it's so possible for you to read that book and even understand it in-depthly as to, make meaning out of that particular book. So those are instances whereby you find yourself doing too many tasks. At that point, if you are in that if you are in that shoe or if you are in that space, I think it's high time to just like take a chill pill, relax, and pick the one you can do and then do it properly. Or maybe you're in a particular place or organization and they start giving you too many tasks and you be like, yes, I can do it, yes, you can do it, yes. At the end of the day, you start to flop on those things. You find out that particular one that you did badly, it will just start to tell off on others. And in fact, the way people are now, everybody forget the good deeds that you do, but they always remember that one bad that you do. So life is just like that. I just feel like when you're at that point whereby you have so many things you're just doing at a particular time, to me, I just feel like you're feigning busy because you're not going to be productive. You're not going to yield confirm results. You get. That's that. And then another one again, which you can realize that one is not being productive, of course, is at that point when you find yourself comfortable in poor results. It's okay actually for you to fail or to get a poor result you get when you carry out a particular task or something. But when you're comfortable in it, my God, that's when the big problem is. But say for instance, maybe you got something done and then you now found out like, okay, you got a poor result. And then you now try to make amends or you just try to find means to make things better. I just feel like at that point, you know that, okay, yes, you're making a headway. But if you're just okay, you're okay in your space, you feel okay. That this result, I don't care. Anything we won't be made, just be. You get. At that point, you just know that you are not being productive enough, right? Now that we already know how to spot that you are not productive enough, of course, you can as well get that, okay, I'm being productive. The first thing ever is to rate your productivity is satisfaction. Have you ever had that feeling whereby you got something done and you're like, oh my God, sweet girl Tess, you do this one, no be small. something that you just get some particular thing and you be like, I did this thing well. It happens to me sometimes. Maybe when I get a week done in a particular way, I'm like, Teresa, you're a sweet girl for real. And you have this contentment with yourself. You are just satisfied. You don't care any other thing that someone says. You know that yes, you got it done. That's why when you are talking about being productive, sometimes when you are doing some things, to other people it might even sound foolish or it might even look foolish. But if you are very satisfied with yourself, if you are okay with yourself, especially maybe if you have already compared it, sometimes it's okay to have a good comparison. If you have compared it with a particular standard that you set for yourself, for us that are Christians, for instance, maybe if you've already set it with the word of God and you see that this thing that you have done is in tandem with what God is going to like, why not? You feel satisfied. I feel like that's the surest way in which to know that you are indeed productive. Another one, of course, is when you are charged to do more. You know that instance whereby you got something done. It's just like they say when you make money, you want to make more, right? So that's how it is too. So when you got done something properly, you would always want to repeat that process. You want to do more, of which is even very much advised. That they usually say that your level of success is usually the level of your productivity, like how much results you can get done. So the more you are being productive, the more actually one is going to attain success. It's not as if maybe you just wake up to it one day. It's what you actually do every particular day. Of course, since we talked about time wastage as being a way to pinpoint that you're not being productive when you waste your time, same goes as well for realizing that you are being productive is when you make very good use of your time. Say for instance, you wake up in a day and you are like, you want to do a particular thing, you set up your time and you meet up with your target, setting your time and the tasks that you want to get done, and you get them done at a particular time. I mean, it's a very good sign that indeed you are being productive. So in case you find yourself in that place, a round of applause for you, and I would of course urge you to do better. And if you are not already in that state, or maybe you find yourself sometimes faltering. For instance, there was a particular weekend I had a plan to do something and I could not. I don't even know whatever happened to me that particular day. That day I ended up spending 4 hours doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. Towards the end of the day, like in the evening, I wasn't feeling happy. I was just sad. So that day I just knew this day is one of my unproductive days, and that is all. Of course, another way to realize that you're a very productive person is for you to be mindful of progress. That means you are careful of progress. You always want to put your mind to want to make headway. You are also solution driven. It's just like the opposite of what we said at ways in which to know that you're not being productive. You are solution driven. You always want to maybe give good impact wherever you find yourself. Just like I said, when I'm even talking about this productivity, I'm not even talking about maybe you have to become one kind of big hero and save the world. Jesus already did that. We don't need you to do it. But the whole point is that in the little that you find yourself doing, you just have to get it done properly. I would always like to make my reference to the Bible because that's my own blueprint, right? And you remember the story if you know the story. So there is this story if you don't know the story, let me just say. There is this story in the Bible, it's a parable. So parable is you're using earthly scenarios, right? That was what Jesus did. He made use of earthly scenarios to teach heavenly things, yeah? So there is this parable of the talent. And at this point, this manager of talent, or let me say more like the CEO of today, he was going to travel, right? And he had some staffs, let me put it that way, or some servants. And he had 3 people. He called them. One he gave 5 talents, another he gave 3, and another he gave 1. And he said he was traveling. So the one that got 5 went ahead to make good use of what he had. He planted it, and then he was able to yield 5. The other one that had 3 was able to also multiply it, and then the other one that had 1 was also able to multiply the one that had 1. Then the one that had 1, at the end of the day, that one hid his own. So when the master came and was asking that, what did you make do with this particular thing that I gave you? The one that had 5 came forth with 10 talents. The one that had 3 came forth with 6. And the one that had 1 for this life, based on even my experience, because I also do business when making wigs rather, based on my experience with this thing I'm about to say, with this person that has one. You see, it's people that will not pay you very well that will start stressing you. That's just, I'm putting it out. This is one of my frustrations, and I'm putting it out there. You see what this one that had one talent said. This one that had one talent said particularly that he has heard that the master is a wicked person, and he used to reap where he doesn't sow. And for that reason, he was scared. That is how you know troublemaker. And he said for that reason, he was scared, so that the man is not going to afflict him with his wickedness. And so he hid the talent instead of making use of it or multiplying it like others did. You get? And then the talent was the talent manager, or let me say like the CEO, just like I started using. He became angry and then collected the one talent and then gave it to the one that had 5. So you see, the one that had more got the one added to him, if not him or her, we don't know, or the person that got 5 talents. So that's how it is. That one that you have and you're not making use of it, before you realize it's going to run away. So basically, remember that at the beginning I said that productivity is actually making good use of what you have. What is that thing that you have and they're making good use of? Maybe you have a very good talent in listening. You have a very good talent in, maybe when you say something, people just calm down. That's actually a talent. You have a talent with maybe you have a talent of organizing things. Like when you go to somewhere, things just become organized. It's a very good talent, you get. So being productive, just like I was saying, it doesn't have to be like one very heroic act like Mother Teresa of Calcutta or something. No, it doesn't have to be that. It could just be like something as like very little in that space that you find yourself in, that very little community, in your house, at the little place, the very little things actually. That's where it all begins, because if you cannot do it in little ways, you cannot also do it in big ways. I'm very sure that one that has 5 talents now is going to be able to manage the 10, and the one that had 6 will be able to manage his 6 now and even multiply it to becoming 12. But if this one now that had 1 and was unable to make good use of what he had, at the end of the day, you know what it means? It was taken away from him. So just like it is that you have to have what's that word now? Just like it is that thing that is inside of you, you just have to make good use of it. The things that you have, resources you have, the time that you have, even your friends, the people you have around you, you just have to ensure that you are getting everything, like you are giving you're getting maximal results from all those things. You understand? I just feel like with this explanation I've made, it now relates back again to that definition we saw from betterhelp.com, where we're saying that productivity is converting input into useful output. This now relates back to the question I asked about, if you were a plant, what kind of plant would you be? If the word of God has said that we are all going to wither away, which is very true, death is inevitable, everybody knows that. If the word of God says that, so I just feel like it is just wise for us to start like being productive for real. Don't go and become werekpe. Instead of it to be werekpe, I beg, it's better for it to become ugu, or at least just become a plant that someone is going to like, a good plant that people can make use of, a good plant that is going to be beneficial to somebody. Do you know that at the end of the day, we all live for ourselves? Like anything that you are is because you are doing it onto other persons. It's not as if maybe you are just all by yourself and you just stay inside your space and you just feel like, okay, yes, that is what you are. You're actually what you are because of what you do onto other people. For instance, a lawyer is a lawyer because he or she, finds a way to either defend or, let me say, interprets the law or whatever to other people. A doctor is a doctor because they treat other people. A nurse is a nurse, similarly. A teacher is a teacher because they teach other people, not because they teach in themselves. So you're actually what you are because of what you do onto other people. For instance, I'm a wig maker. I make wigs because I do it onto other people. You understand? So that's how it is. That I'm just saying basically that if you are going to be a plant, it would just be nice for you to be a very good plant. Just think about it that we have a very short while. Even if you live for 100 years, it's still a very short while. That even relates back again to Genesis. Like those early fathers, the early generation of people, Methuselah, Enoch, Jared, all those people, they lived like for very long years, 900 years and above. And then the lifespan of man became shortened. No matter how long, even Methuselah that lived for, I think he lived for 969 years. as long as he lived, he still died. So he still withered away at the end of the day. So that means that while we are here, whatever plant it is that we are going to be or that we've chosen to become, you understand, I'm just using plant as a metaphor, right? Whatever plant it is that you are going to be, ensure that as much as possible, you're a very useful plant. Don't be a weed. I remember that in secondary school when they taught us what a weed is, they said a weed is an unwanted plant found in an unwanted place at an unwanted time. So don't be a weed in that sense. I'm not talking of weed. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm talking about that one. But then don't be a weed in that sense of what I just defined. You get, just be a plant that you ensure that you are being productive, right? I'm just going to stop here for this episode, and on the next episode, of course, basically we are finding tips in which to live on how to be becoming very, very productive. Yeah, I'll just stop here. And of course, you know how I like to do it. I like to thank my people. I'm always happy once it comes to this talk matter like this. It really suits me for body, so I'm always happy. And so I have to thank you very much, because there is me talking, there is another person listening, and I'm very happy that you are part of my listeners. I'm happy that you are, you're a part of what I do, because I am Talks with Tess, or Talks with Tess is because of you listening to Talks with Tess. So thank you very much for listening, for clicking on the link. If you are listening via Anchor, oh wow, thank you very much. And if you are listening via YouTube, I appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. And of course, I also sincerely appreciate my friends, my beautiful and handsome friends that gave me their responses, and they threw more lights. In fact, one of my respondents, or one of the people that answered, one is even a teenager. I was quite shocked at her answer. Thank you, Tolu. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Malam Lucky. And of course, thank you as well for listening, you that is listening right now. Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Catch you on the next episode. Till then, stay jiggy, stay blessed, stay fine. Bye.